We live up in here. Good evening, good evening, good evening. We are ready for another episode of Story Time. Yes, I'm saying welcome. I'm welcome everybody out here in Instagram land. Hey, Blessed Hands, how you doing? Did you do it? Listen, I have a young man that I'm interviewing tonight on YouTube. So I need y'all to come on over to YouTube if you can to APW Shout Crystal on YouTube. It's a comedian, Stephon. He's a Christian comedian. So out there in YouTube land, Facebook land, LinkedIn, we are introducing you to a young man that is doing some amazing things out there on Instagram. How you doing today, Mr. Stephon?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great, great, great. This is the man of God here. And you know, his scripture that he stands on is one where he says, Proverbs 18:16, a man's gift maketh room for him and brings him before great men. And listen, for booking this guy, you want to make sure that you give him a call, and we're going to show you why you want to call him. We're going to definitely show you why you want to give him a call, definitely later on. But tell the people your name and where you're from.
So my name is actually Christian comedian Stephon. I'm out of the wonderful city with no violence, Chicago.
Chicago, Illinois, what they call the Windy City.
The Windy City.
City, you know.
Yeah.
And listen, I see that you call yourself a naive Chicagoan, born as a preacher's child. Wow.
Yeah, a native Chicagoan.
Wow. So you've been a preacher's child. So a lot of times preachers' children come out and they are rebels. But I see you on Instagram. You are here doing prayers, 10 o'clock your time, and you are consistent with that. So let's talk about that. Before we go into you being a Christian, you are a man of God. Let's talk about that. How did all that happen? Was it because they drug you to the church, or was it because you got that personal relationship?
No, I got a personal relationship with God. I'm a preacher's kid. So of course I was raised and born in church. My father's a pastor, so PK means pastor kid, preacher's kid. So I was raised in church all my life, been around church all my life. I kind of stepped away, not out of church, but I had to go once my father said I graduated from high school, I ain't gotta go to church every Sunday. I ain't gotta go to his church. So I was like, okay, woo, the first Sunday, I was like, all right, y'all have a good day. He's like, I'd say you didn't have to go to my church, but you gotta go to a church. So I thought I got out of it, but I didn't. So I still had to go to church. Yeah, I've been going to church ever since. I haven't stopped going.
And I noticed that you are really something else. I've seen you on many lives, and you are definitely someone who is funny. And a lot of times people, they like comedy, and sometimes you want clean comedy. So this is a young man that if you're looking for clean comedy, he is your guy. He began his entertainment career at an early age, performing in grammar school talent shows. Stephon, grammar school, really?
Yeah, they always had little programs at grammar school. So I was always, always on stage, always in front of people. So yeah, I started at grammar school doing musicals and stuff like that.
Wow. So were you the class clown too?
I was the class clown. I won most popular, class clown, all that stuff in high school. Most popular, that was my whole thing. Yep.
And then you wind up getting a scholarship for theater. So do you act when you're on stage too? I mean, are you a character on stage outside of making people laugh? Do you have some drama in there too?
It depends on the plays. Most of the plays I've done that were in at Kid and King College in Chicago, they were more of musicals and like Fences. I was in Fences, so I played Gabe, the brother that was kind of handicapped, but the role I played it made it funny. So everything I did, whatever role they gave me, it was always like comedic role in it. But I didn't start off saying I want to be a comedian. I started off want to be an actor.
And so when did you realize that you no longer wanted to be an actor and that you wanted to be a comedian?
Well, I still want to be an actor, but doing the play of Fences, the late Bernie Mac came to my show.
Oh, nice.
And he was like, "Oh man, you funny? You ever thought about doing stand up?" This is back in '91, and I was like, "Nah, not really." He said, "Well, I think you should try it out." I have two shows back then. One was called Spices, and the other one's called the Cotton Club. Cotton Club was more of, elite people come in, the Bulls players come in, Michael Jordan, all them come in, all the elite people came to the Cotton Club. Spice is more of like an open mic type of thing on a Sunday night. So he told me to start off coming on Sunday and build up, and then whenever I want to come to the Cotton Club, I can come to try it out. So I did Sunday night, and then I said, forget Sunday night. I want to do the Cotton Club because I'm grown like everybody else. And so I came in there, and at the time, the Bulls players came in there. Michael Jordan came in, and and Scottie Pippen,
Wow,
and I
that's
talked about it.
amazing. That's amazing. So you did comedy for Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Bernie Mac.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. A lot of guys you see now that's from Chicago: Deion Cole, Corey Holcomb, D. Ray, Lil Rel. They're all from Chicago. So I
Yeah,
started off with them. Yeah.
yeah, that is pretty cool. So which one would you say had the biggest influence on you? Any of those individuals that were out there, since so many people started in Chicago, who was it besides Bernie Mac telling you to go ahead and do some comedy? Who else had a big influence on you as well?
I would say he had a big influence on me. Um, he just got me started, and then once I got started, it was just doing a whole lot of open mics. It wasn't until I decided to rededicate my life back to Christ is when I started doing the clean comedy, and I would just do churches only. I wouldn't go into clubs at all.
Wow. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that for a minute. You know, a lot of people do clean comedy, right? And a lot of people, they're open to it, then there's some that's not. And those of you on Instagram, you really want to come over to APW Shop Crystal because Stephon is really giving us some real background about how he got started with people like Bernie Mac inspiring him, which we would have never known that, you know. So I commend you for not going into the clubs once you gave your life to Christ. You know, a lot
You
of
want me
times
to?
people try to straddle the fence and they do both. And I can tell you're serious about it because you come on Instagram and you be praying for the people. And you know, I want to ask you how that started too, because that is really commendable and I appreciate you. And a lot of time I may not get to come in there, but I go back and do the replay and I see your heart with that. So I know the pandemic may have had something to do with that, but what else really pushed you to start doing the prayers online?
Okay. Well, I sent you a request on Instagram. I got two phones, so if you want to pop on that and bring me on, you can do it that way. It's up to you.
Okay,
Um,
cool. Okay.
yeah, that way they can.
Oh,
That way
because
they can see
I
me.
thought you said you only have one, so that's cool. I got you. I'm going to accept you over there too.
There you go. There you go. Now you can do on both. They can watch me on both of them. There you
Okay,
go.
cool.
Bam. You're not getting no feedback or nothing, right?
So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the volume down on one.
I'm gonna turn.
Otherwise it'll click. So hold on. All right, there we go.
Let me turn it
So
down
make
on
sure
my
you
phone.
turn your volume down on one. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. I'll do it that way.
Because I hear an echo.
All right.
So what you may have to do is the one that's talking, you may have to turn the volume down. Like, got the volume down on one.
Because you kind of
Yeah.
close to the talk that it might not work.
How is it? This is better?
That's better. That's excellent. Excellent. So once again, we're talking to Stephon, the Christian comedian and minister, young man out of Chicago, young man who got his push and motivation from the late Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac encouraged him when he came to his show that he had there to go ahead and get on stage. So for the people who didn't hear you talk about that over Instagram, you can repeat that for us.
So as I was stating before, I went to school for acting, got a scholarship for acting in college, and then from there I went on to doing plays. Now, one of the plays I did was Fences, which you guys see with Denzel Washington. One of the characters was um, Gabe, who was his brother, who played the kind of like the retarded role. So I did that role, and I kept making people laugh. So Bernie Mac was like, "Hey, you know what? You ever thought about doing stand-up comedy?" And I was like, "No, not really. I never really thought about it." He said, "Well, I have two spots. I have a place called Spices and a place called the Cotton Club. And the Cotton Club is more of the elite kind of clientele. Like a lot of the stars that come through there like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, a lot of Bulls players, a lot of Bears players. You know, the drug dealers. Anyway, but so he said this start off at Spices was a Sunday night, like open mic, and I did Spices, and then and after Spices, he said try Cotton Club. So I came in and did the Cotton Club. Yeah.
How was that first night for you? How did they receive you?
The first night I doing the Cotton Club, that's when Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan came in. I talked about them.
I mean, how did they receive you though? Did you talked about them? How did they receive you? Did they
They was
laugh
cool.
or
It
what?
was a comedy show, so they you know, they was cool with it. But after I got off, Bernie Mac got up there and talked about me real bad, and you know, of course, everybody was laughing and stuff. I didn't care, but he told me afterwards, like, only reason why he had to do that because sometimes they can get offended, and you know, the people at the that own the club, you know, they want that money to come in, so
Yes,
they don't want you to offend people like that. But you know,
yes.
as comedians, we don't care. It's my time to shine, so I was shining.
Okay, okay. And that's usually the song I play. That's funny you said that. That's normally the song I play in the beginning of the story time. It's your time to shine. So it's funny that you took your time on the stage and tried to let Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and them have it. Now, what
Now
next?
you asked me about the prayer, how the prayer get started, right?
Yes, sir. I definitely want to know about
I'm gonna catch up with you. Yeah. So when the pandemic happened, Michael Collier had a morning show. He says it now. Um, and during the morning show, he does prayer at the beginning, but back then he did. And so, if the inner part of that, like around July of that same year, he said, you know, I'll be doing some movies, and so I won't be able to really like you know be on here for prayer. And so because of that, I was joking around. I said, okay, I'll pray. Don't worry about it. I'll pray for you. He's like, no, I don't need to pray. But I did anyway, and the people kind of like my prayer because I was praying. I say his prayer wasn't for real, but it wasn't a church prayer. Yeah. It was, you know, it was more like, you know, universe, you know, lower cup of the universe, as opposed to the prayer that we used to in church. So those that's been in church, that was on this page that been in church, they was like, man, like this is really the prayer I needed.
it.
And now, so that was 3 years ago. It's been 3 years now.
Wow. Did you ever think that it would get to be like it is now?
I didn't even think I was gonna be on that line for prayer. I wasn't trying to do no prayer. I was joking. But sometimes, you know, God does things differently than us. Cause yeah, even at a regular church, even in church, I don't stand in front of people and pray like that unless they ask me to. So to
But
be
now when
on the
you come on
platform while I'm praying.
Instagram, you're natural. You're natural. So now you are actually impacting people's lives. They're looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm both on Instagram and on Facebook.
Okay, excellent. So what is your name on Facebook in case people want to join you over there?
Facebook is just my regular name. Stephon then Racket is my last name.
So you rededicated your life to Christ back in 1997. I was looking at that on your bio. And back
And
then, what changed?
well, I rededicated my life back in like 91, 92. And I just got to the point that I didn't what stopped me from doing the secular comedy was I just want to be in the atmosphere where they do a lot of cussing, and I get up on stage and cuss too as well, and somebody in church sees me, so it's like almost like conviction for me. So I just said, okay, from now on, I just do clean comedy, and I won't do any secular comedy. But what
So,
happened was, um, when the pandemic came and the churches shut down, then I had no place to do comedy. So God put me back for where I started from, which was back in the clubs. But even now in the clubs, I don't do any cursing at all.
So when you started out in the club, you didn't feel
I didn't feel comfortable knowing that I I was rededicating my life to church and just being in that atmosphere. Because I don't want to hear about body parts, and even now still hear about body parts and hear all that cussing. I wasn't around that. I wasn't. I mean, my mom and dad didn't cuss. Only people that I learned cussing from my uncle, aunties, and uncles.
And you know what I say, Stephon? I say, if you're funny, you don't have to cuss.
No, Sinbad
You
don't
know,
cuss. Neither do Bill Cosby.
you don't have to cuss. Excuse me while I block this person that I need to remove from this person that's in here talking about some Western Union and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Indian guy.
They had to get out of there. That was definitely a hacker, you know. So on stage, you feel as though some things should be off limits.
No, not really. You don't want to ever have to quiet someone's gift or their express. Don't say not get gift, but their expressions. You know what I mean? So as comedians express their ways differently. I just choose not to like to hear all that stuff. Don't mean that they're not a better comedian or they're not a good comedian. I just choose in my mind to let that not go into my spirit that way.
So what is your aspiration as a Christian comedian? Do you have a big stage that you'd like to get on that you haven't been on yet?
I would like to do arenas. I would like to do concerts that open up for on the 20th I'll be opening up for Marvin Sapp. But like even like the gospel music awards, things like that, where it's gospel stuff, I would love to be on stage for that.
And that would be really good too. People need that because, like you said in your bio, comedy is therapeutic. It's very therapeutic, and more people need comedy. Who is your favorite female and male Christian comedian? I hear echo again.
Who is my favorite female and male comedian?
Christian comedian. Christian comedian.
I can't. I don't know. It's so many of them. So many of them.
Is there any one of them that you are trying to get on stage that you like to show?
Most of the Christian comedians a lot of them, let's go hear this. So a lot of them don't call themselves Christian comedians. They call themselves comedians that are Christians. There's only very few of us that will label ourselves, call ourselves exactly Christian comedians. Like one will be Akatunde. We
And
call
why do
this.
you think they do that? I mean, because y'all are giving God the glory. So do you think that it's affecting your bookings and your money?
No, I think when you say I'm a clean comedian, that kind of puts you in a whole new different level anyway, different bracket. Me saying I'm a Christian comedian is more of I'm not gonna curse at all.
And
There's a
some
certain
people want
standard.
that cussing. Some people want that cussing, right?
Yeah, some people love that cussing. So I always start off my show saying I'm Baptist.
Wow. So I seen you on Instagram at a lot of different places. Different places. Are those like private events? Because you said you don't do clubs.
I do no. Now I do club. I'm at actually if in Chicago. I'm at Riddle's Comedy Club every weekend. That's in Alsip, Illinois.
Okay, so what made you decide to change and start doing riddles?
Start doing secular clubs because the church shut down because of the pandemic.
But you still set yourself apart. Even though you're in the club, you still set yourself apart. And there's certain things that you just won't do like other comedians do as a Christian comedian. Is that correct?
So now, most of when they introduced me, they called me the Rev of Comedy.
Okay.
So there's already a set standard already for me. They already know.
That's good. So are you opening? Are you like opening? Or are they actually giving you feature acts too?
At Riddles, I'm always open up for anybody that comes through. Any major comedian that's come on stage, I'm opening up, or I'm part of the show.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So Riddles, if somebody wants to go see you, when are you at Riddle? Give them the information.
So Riddles is located at 5055 West 111th Street in Alsip, Illinois. They have two shows, both on Friday and Saturday. They have an 8 o'clock show and a 10:30 show.
And who's going to be there this coming week?
This coming weekend is Sean Morgan and Bodacious. I think it's the same.
Okay. I think did you turn up one of your devices?
No, my device is down.
Just like a mic, just like a so what would you tell somebody, Stephon, that wanted to right now? Kind of right. Everything you've been out there, you've been you've been on the plane conference side, you've been in the club, you've been probably been
I can't hear you.
Okay, you said what? Hold on. Wait, I'm there. Okay, there you go. You said what advice do I give somebody that want to be in comedy? I would say like Bernie Mac told me, just get on stage. Practice don't make perfect, but it makes you better than the day before. So you got to stay on stage, get your timing right, get your material in. Work a material, write down material, and just try it out. Some things gonna be funny, some things not gonna be funny. You know, you just got to stay on stage. I stay on every night. I'm on stage somewhere every night.
so what about when you bomb? What can you tell somebody that if they bomb? And I'm gonna tell them you want me you're gonna come up here and really not pick up. So I want you to come and jump and I'll take you somebody. You're gonna